There should be no punishment less for these people other than to be lynched. Every single one of them. Anybody who could ever be connected to even thinking about doing this isn't just like a gang rape,
what?
Dude. This is premeditated.
Connected to thinking about we're doing thought crimes now? Okay, man. All right. See, YouTube, take this shit down. Right? This is literally just a call to racial violence. That's what this is. And I've never reported a Tom Fo video before, but here we go. Misinformation. I could report a lot of his videos for misinformation, but I'm not gonna do that. Promotes terrorism. What? Wait, hold on. Where are we at? 14 minutes. So I'm gonna say around 13:50. Tom Fo promotes lynching of brown people. Welcome back to J-Star. I'm J-Star. This is J-Star. Welcome back. Alright, today we're watching Tom Fo. This video is called There's Something Wrong with Britain. You got that right. You got that right, brother. Hold on. Yeah, something is wrong with Britain. All right, let's hear it.
I don't know
much
about politics in the UK.
Yeah, you don't know much about politics anywhere, brother. Let's be so fucking for real. Come on, you're just a dumb guy.
However,
it's just common sense.
I'm usually horrified.
Those grooming gang cases have now been referred back to police forces for reinvestigation, which is a major new development.
Well, the National Crime Agency is reviewing hundreds of files where potential lines of inquiry may have been missed because of human error.
Sometimes the things that happen there seem so alien to me, and other times more familiar than I'd want to admit. Looking at the United Kingdom is like viewing a mirror that shows you the future of the West. And looking at it today shows a civilization that is dead. No longer dying, just decomposing, rotting, with maggots, eating away at its corpse. It sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not.
PC McGuire was on patrol late last year when the team spotted a suspected drug dealer.
Just under 6 years now, and I'd say the last 2 years, people just don't care anymore, they're using now.
You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate.
Recently, a politician by the name of Rupert Lowe, leader of the Restore Britain Party, released a document titled The Rape Gang Inquiry Report, a PDF highlighting an independent investigation into UK child grooming gangs.
Oh, okay.
Estimates around 250,000 victims since the 1950s, with 87 to 95% of the perpetrators in examined cases being Muslim men of predominantly Pakistani heritage.
Alright, this is a politically led inquiry by MP Rupert Lowe. For those of you that don't know, Rupert Lowe is like he's the MP that's like, I hate brown people, get the brown people out. Okay, that might be where you know him from. These claims rely heavily on selective case studies, extrapolated numbers, such as the 250,000 victims figure is not official. Okay, think about that. Think about that. 250,000 victims, right? Where are they? Can I talk to them? Right? Like usually when, a bunch of rapes happen, right? More than a dozen people come forward, right? At least a couple people. Like, you can say to an extent, right? Like victims, they don't always come forward. Okay, that's true. That's true. They don't always come forward. Now, one could argue that if there were like more incentives for victims to come forward and tell their stories, maybe the perpetrator actually facing consequences for what they did, then maybe more people would come forward. But as it stands, only a fraction of sexual abuse victims actually come forward. But 250,000. Wow. Where are they? Where are the 250,000? Anyway. The actual statutory UK inquiry, 2025 to 2026. This is the real government-mandated investigation chaired by the Baroness Anne Longfield. The purpose is to investigate child sexual exploitation across England and Wales, and follow evidence wherever it leads. This inquiry does not claim that grooming gangs are predominantly Muslim or Pakistani. It focuses on institutional failures, not racial narratives. No way. This report that he's talking about is new, and so it hasn't been thoroughly debunked yet, but I have a feeling it definitely fucking will be. Because, I mean, what the fuck are we talking about? 250,000? Predominantly Pakistani? What is the evidence? Right? Like, cause like, if there is a conspiracy, right? Because that's what this is. Okay, I don't mean it in the sense that it's like, you know, crazy or whatever. I mean, it is crazy, but that's not what I mean. Okay, when I say it's a conspiracy, right, you're saying that these brown people are conspiring to rape the children. Well, okay, in order for a conspiracy to be proven, there needs to be evidence that the conspiracy happened, right? That's just the doy. Okay, where is the evidence?
Gang rape, trafficking, and racial abuse of vulnerable white girls. It details systematic institutional violence by police, councils, and services driven by political correctness fears. Because of these fears, this issue that has been plaguing people for so long has remained an open secret. One that, if not careful enough, someone may be arrested for being too honest about their opinions online, since it would be labeled as hate speech.
In terms of that, basically, our hate crime team reviewed it and said there are offences there we need to explore.
Okay.
Basically, Section 19 refers to spreading what we say like racial hatred. So if you post something online that we believe is spreading racial hatred.
Twitter, Facebook,
I can't explain too much. Just to give you the context beforehand. Basically, how it works now is then, obviously, if you've got stuff you'd like to gather, obviously I'm more than willing to talk through what you're able to take with you.
What, you're taking me away now?
Yes, so you're unrest, so you're going to Harrogate, unfortunately.
You're taking me to Harrogate in the middle of the night over a tweet?
I am, unfortunately.
This is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook.
Anxiety based upon your social media site.
I'm sorry. I don't like this, okay? I don't like people being arrested for their speech, even if it is hatred, right? Even if they are spreading hate speech. But it is funny, though. It is fucking funny when judges go to prison for this shit.
We wouldn't want to upset the established multicultural order of the West, because it turns out that when people acknowledge Muslim rape gangs, it makes
taking me to jail because I said some racist shit on Twitter.
Control possible. And if that doesn't work, they'll just throw
you in
prison.
Yes, we
because
all,
we wouldn't want people to be upset that their own young, innocent daughters are being raped. How would that make the Muslims feel? How would that make them feel? Not how does that make the white mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters feel, just how would that make the immigrants feel? And that right there is the key. The UK no longer has a government that represents them, a government that no longer protects them, or even cares to consider the way they feel about being tortured in their own homeland. Because make no mistake about it, this is societal torture. How could it not be at this point? You have a governing authority that is knowingly inflicting severe psychological, spiritual, and physical abuse on its own people, and in this case, some of the most innocent among its base population. Children. Young, innocent children. This authority has used its power to control, punish, and intimidate them, using all of these tactics as a cultural transforming tool intended to create a society based on fear, apathy.
Bro, let's look at this shit. He doesn't even have it fucking linked. Okay, I want to actually like read the evidence. I can't find it. Oh, okay. So they've just announced that they're doing it. That they're doing an inquiry into grooming gangs. Gotcha. Wow. I'm sure they will gather so much legitimate evidence. Let's keep watching this bullshit.
That is societal torture. But they, nor the people that support these policies, would consider it that, because to do so wouldn't fit their narrative. The narrative that says the only future for them is one where you invite the third world into your home and create a multicultural utopia. To achieve that goal, the ends justify the means. And in this case, the means only hurt white people. So it's fine, acceptable, and for some of them, it's preferred. But the people know this. Even with all the gaslighting and damage control, the people feel it. And over the years, there has been a growing societal conceptualization of these feelings. For many of them, these issues have affected them personally. It has hurt them, their sons, their daughters, their families, their communities. It has destroyed their sense of unity, patriotism, and love for their own countries and people. It has isolated them in more ways than previous generations could have imagined. And that was always the first step. Break them down and force new behaviors. But the mask has slipped off. Pandora's box has been opened. The tactics and the fear have lost their hold on the people. And if not the older generations, it definitely lost its hold on the younger people of the West. I know this is an issue in the UK, but to the people of America, what is happening there can and will happen here. And in some ways, it already has. The document that Rupert Lowe released is the next step, not only in exposing this betrayal, but also in recognizing that there is something wrong in the West, that this dream of this multicultural melting pot utopia is a nightmare, and the children of the West have woken up to it.
Boo!
After taking a look at some of the stuff that's in that report, I didn't read the whole thing because it's like 200 plus pages, but just seeing some of the things and then also seeing other people talk about it, it's all completely disgusting. Every single part about it. You talk about the Epstein files, this is just as disgusting, if not way worse than the Epstein files. And I know that's crazy to hear, but bear in mind, I'll talk about that a little bit in this video. Now, I gotta be careful in what I talk about because during that opening monologue, I kind of already pushed certain words to the limit on YouTube. with saying stuff like gang rape. YouTube doesn't like it when you use those words, so I gotta be careful what I say going forward. But after reading about this stuff, it's pretty bad, man. And the thing that's so crazy to me is that usually when you do see stuff that's kind of similar when it comes to children and trafficking, you do compare it to stuff like the Epstein files for obvious reasons. But with something like that, it involves people with power, money, politicians, famous people. So even though it's horrible, it still kind of makes sense to you because the people are famous and they have money, and you've always heard stories about rich, powerful politicians being super fucked up. So on some level,
if anything, it should be the opposite. Like, if you're a mega rich person, you have it all, right? Why engage in such, like if I had everything I wanted, if I were living comfortably, I like to think that I would just, you know, fucking chill with all my shit. I wouldn't be like, oh man, I'm getting bored. Time to rape children. That's insane,
kind of
man.
Makes sense that like people are covering for them for obvious reasons: money, political power, blackmail. It crosses all the boxes. In this case, with Rupert Lowe and the report, it's basically all immigrants. It's not some billionaire. It's not some politician. It's immigrants. People who were allowed to go to that country, who needed help, according to themselves, most of the time. Why do they go to these places? They go because they're like, I'm fleeing war. You know, my country's fucked up. I need help. My family needs help. Please help us. And they do. They let them in. They bring them in. They allow them to come and stay in their communities, and they're doing some of the most fucked up shit you would ever see. And obviously, the reason why the media wasn't talking about it, and the reason why the government was covering for it, is like I said in that monologue. It was because it doesn't fit their narrative to be honest about this. You already know it. And every single time the truth comes out regarding these people that are in political power, their influence essentially plummets. Keir Starmer, the trust people have in him and in their government is essentially gone. And like I said, I don't know too much about their political systems, but I've heard here and there that it's pretty bad. And the Epstein files played a big role in that, and I'm guessing this might be the nail in the coffin for them, which is good. Because if these people are gonna lie and cover up shit for fucking immigrants, and mind you, if you don't think this shit is that bad, let me tell you some of the stuff that happened to some of these poor, innocent young girls. So one of them, which was an infant, it was a baby, was abused and had cigarettes put out on it. It was essentially tortured, and the baby's mother was forced to watch them abuse her little girl and literally torture a baby. And then they killed her. There's other reports of girls being set on fire. There are reports of women, young girls, being sent to red rooms to be tortured. And a lot of people who have been down many rabbit holes on the internet, you hear red room, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially websites for live streaming, except instead of live streaming about cooking or playing video games, they torture people. And in some cases, they kill them. In fact, actually, most of the time, when it was like real, they were killing the people to make money. That's what a red room is. This is stuff that's in this report. One girl was forced to be with a dog. I'm not going to go into too much gruesome detail about that one thing, but they forced a dog on her sexually. A young girl. Some girls were forced to have abortions with knitting needles. Other girls were forced to have glass bottles, keys, baseball bats, and other objects forced inside them. These Muslims had party houses where they would take girls and they would have dozens of men have their way with them. Underage girls. And if you think that's the worst of it, that isn't.
It's
Some girls were
Muslims,
pregnant
it
with Muhammad.
is.
Other girls were locked in cages. Girls as young as 5 and 6 were tied up and abused. I'm gonna stop there because there's way more fucked up shit, but it's horrible. Everything about this stuff is disgusting, and the fact that it's been covered up for so long, and the people that were trying to speak out against it were attacked. They were made public enemy number one.
And
In some
white
cases,
people
even to
never
this day,
do
they're
fucked up
reacting to this
shit.
and they're laughing.
And
Because
white
they don't
people
take it
are the
seriously because it goes
greatest.
against their beliefs. Or
Yeah,
even if
man.
it was true to them, they don't care because it involves white kids. This is evil. There is nothing else to classify what this is. This is pure evil. And the government's mad. They're talking about how, don't talk about this, you'll make people racist. Don't talk about this, you'll cause more racial division. Racism is like the bare minimum reaction you should have with this shit. The bare fucking minimum reaction you should have. Anything involving kids, mind you, the stuff I already told you is already too much. But even if it was less than that, it doesn't matter. It's children. Anything involving kids is too fucked up. It's too extreme.
Right, so racism isn't the least you can do. It is not a solution at all. It does nothing. It's literally worse than doing nothing.
And they go even further. How much hate in your heart do you have to have for a certain group of people for a race? You know, they call us racists. I don't think any of us want to go around and tie girls up and put them in rooms. We just don't want them to fucking be in our countries. That's it. We just don't want them in the West. And you see it. They call you racist. They call you hateful. They call you evil. They're self-projecting. These people, if anything, are the real racists. Who the fuck thinks it's a great idea to do half of this shit to a human being, let alone a kid, a child, a young underage girl? I don't think you guys understand the things they were doing to these women. They were taking girls that were Christians and they were mocking them, making them wear crucifixes while they would abuse them. Who the fuck even considers doing that? There should be no punishment less for these people other than to be lynched. Every single one of them. Anybody who could ever be connected to even thinking about doing this. This isn't just like a gang rape,
What?
dude. This is premeditated.
Connected to thinking about we're doing thought crimes now? Okay, man. All right. See, YouTube, take this shit down. Right? This is literally just a call to racial violence. That's what this is. And I've never reported a Tom Fo video before, but here we go. Misinformation. I could report a lot of his videos for misinformation, but I'm not gonna do that. Promotes terrorism. What? Wait, hold on. Where are we at? 14 minutes. So I'm gonna say, around 1350. Tom Fo promotes lynching of brown people in the UK for, thought crimes and generally existing. There you go.
Human torture, where at no point in time do they consider that this is a human being, let alone a child.
I think this video will get taken down.
How is this making
if
this
YouTube
human
has
being
any
feel? They
spine,
have no
man.
respect. They give them no
It's
dignity
crazy.
whatsoever. That's who these people are. And of course, like I said, they're self-projecting. They call you racist. We just don't want them here. We just want our own homes. We want our own countries. The countries our ancestors built, not yours. These are our homes, our lands, our people. We built this civilization, and we've done so much for these people. And I know I'm talking about the UK here, but I think you guys can understand where I'm coming from. You guys have done so much for these people. You gave them refuge in your own countries, and this is what they do. This is what they do to the most innocent of you, is they beat and they torture and
This
they
is
traffic.
what they
young girls.
do.
That's what
They,
do.
all of them.
No, it isn't. But you know what? It would be none of them if none of them were fucking here to begin with. Like I said in my last video, I'm tired of having this, oh, well, it's not all of them. Or I'm tired of having these back and forth conversations. It's like, dude, if these people weren't even here, this wouldn't even be a problem. You wouldn't even have to make the argument of, well, it's not all of them. They would be in their own countries. This is evil. The fact that this government, the politicians in the UK have suppressed this, the media.
But no, Tomfo, I wouldn't have to make this argument if you would stop making it seem like it is all of them and that we should do collective punishment against them, right? Which is what you're calling for, which is what you want, which is what you celebrate when it happens in our country. And it's disgusting, okay? And you are frustrated because it just doesn't fucking work. Normal people hear you and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? And don't get me wrong, the Overton window, it has shifted, right? Right, like, I agree to that. To some extent, right? It's not really that simple, you know, but I'm Mr. Nuance over here. You know me. You know me. It's actually more nuanced than that, but anyway, man, when you say racist shit, you're saying racist shit, okay? Words have meaning. You can't be like, oh, but I wouldn't have to say racist shit if it wasn't necessary to say it. Like, no, man, it's not fucking necessary. It's not necessary. Muslims are not rapists. Brown people are not rapists. You trying to smear an entire ethnic identity as, rape culture or whatever is fucking disgusting. Because what these people did, white people do too. White people do fucked up shit. We've been doing fucked up shit for all of history. This just, it like... Are the particular crimes that you described, assuming that they're true and they actually happened, is that disgusting? Is that terrible? Yes, of course. And I hope the perpetrators are found and they are given justice, right? But the solution is not to deport people, is not to lynch people. That is insane, man. That's fucking insane. What the fuck is wrong with you?
There's a quote they put in the report, and it completely summarizes what's going on here. They put a quote from Albert Einstein, and they said the world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. And that hits the nail on the head. That's what this is. You have the people in the media and in the government who could have done something, who wanted to do something, but they refused. Either they were scared or they were just indifferent. Who knows? But at this point in time, we can spend all day, every day yelling about this.
Yeah, I'm sure that Einstein...
If you're not already pissed off about this...
I'm sure that Einstein, a Jew who lived in Nazi Germany, would agree with everything you're saying right now, man.
As much as I am. I don't know what to fucking tell you. But to the people that are watching, especially the people in America, the reason why this is important to talk about for us is because this is a moment in time. This is a moment in time that will be remembered for as long as Western civilization exists. This is a moment in time where the veil has been lifted, the mask slipped off, everybody knows the truth. People are going to try and downplay it, people are going to try and gaslight, they're going to damage control. That's going to be their main thing to do, and it's important for us to support these people. If you're on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, go follow the people posting this. Rupert Lowe MP, go follow him, repost the reports, post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, talk about it. Don't let this be just something they deal with on their own. This affects everyone, because like I said, what happens there can and more than likely will happen here. We're connected in a lot more ways than you would think. We don't just have our own countries. We exist in this post-World War II new order where we're all connected on many levels. And so this is important because those are your brothers and sisters in the United Kingdom. And they're suffering, and they've been suffering. And I know we're suffering too, but this is one of those moments where it's like there has to be support that's given to them. And the only way you can really do that is just to be aware, but also to spread awareness, because that is important. Because most people, when they hear about this stuff, it makes them sick, because these are sick things. These are evil things. And that's why they constantly arrest people for even talking about half of that. You think these people getting arrested in those videos I was showing you think they're getting arrested because they're talking about this shit on the level that they're talking about now? No, they were just saying, hey, I don't want these people here. Maybe they say stuff that's a little crazy or maybe a little racist. I think at this point in time, it's very well justified. But back then, it wasn't even half the shit that's coming out now, and they were getting arrested for it. That is horrible. So this is a moment in time where we really do have to do everything we can to support them, and that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I try to put a little bit extra effort into it, because it's necessary for me to do so. I believe that wholeheartedly, and so I want to show my support for you guys, because what's happening here is evil, and I know it's crazy, but this is good that people are talking about this. The fact that this report is out, this is a good thing. This is a good sign. The people of the West, the children of the West, they have woken up to this. They are under no delusions. I know some of them are, but more people now than ever before have woken up to it. They're not buying the bullshit. They understand what's really happening here, and they're starting to do something about it. That's why I'm hopeful. That's why I don't blackpill about these things. This is a moment in time where there is no defensible action your enemies can take, because this is completely unjustifiable. And you will see people try to do so, but it's gonna backfire on them, trust me. Because more people than you would think, when they look at this stuff, they see it for what it is. It is evil. And if you want to know how to get rid of this, there's two things you have to do. This is true for the UK, this is true for America, true for the West all over. First things first, you have more than one enemy. First things first, you have more than one main problem. You have to get rid of the people that are doing these things. In this case, it's the Muslim rape gangs. They have to go. There can be no sympathy. There has to be remigration. And I know that seems like a tall order to ask for, but it's more possible now than it's ever been. Just look at what's happening. You can feel it. You know it. But remigration is a necessity for the survival of the West. It is required for us to go another 100, 200 years. The second thing that you need to do, and this is arguably the most important, because you got rid of the barbarians, that's great. The barbarians are no longer inside your fortress, so they can't pillage and rape you, but it's not going to do anything if you don't get rid of the people that are responsible for them being there in the first place. That includes the politicians. That includes every single person involved with the media that suppressed this. It wasn't just the government. The media had their own reasons for suppressing the story as well. You have to remove them from power. You have to get rid of them. You can't just send the people doing these things back. You got to send the people that let them do these things in the first place back as well. The people that opened the door, the people that went above and beyond to make sure that not only they could have a place to live in your home, in your country, but they could also get away with literally abusing your kids. There has to be some level of justice for that, and that does include the Jewish oligarchs. That does include race communists that just absolutely hate white people, which weirdly enough is also Jewish. You need to completely get rid of all of these people. You need to kick them out. You need to keep them out, and obviously that's a tall order. You know, donors, people with money, people that own...
Okay, so this is just straight up overt Nazi shit, right? The whole idea of, like, Judeo-Bolshevism, right? For those of you that don't know, Nazis, both old and new, believe that communism is Jewish, right? It was started by Jewish people. It's just not true. Alright? Because... the thing is, Jews be fucking. Jews be fucking, bro. So everybody is a little Jewish. That's what I say. Like, I am not aware of any Jewish ancestry that I personally have. But I probably got some somewhere. There's probably a Jew somewhere in my lineage. Because, like, everybody does. It's just common. Man, hardly anybody has no Jewish person in their family tree anywhere. Okay, it just doesn't work like that. Okay, so, like, anyway. Marx was ethnically Jewish on one side of his family, but his dad renounced his Jewish, his religion, Judaism, and he converted to Lutheran, I believe. I think that's what it was. So that's what happened.
To participate in suppressing this and inviting these people to be there in the first place. The people that, you know, started wars in all these different countries that caused all these migrant crises at no benefit to you whatsoever. That's the most fucked up part, is they send you and your kids to go die in some war, and they tell you it's for one thing, it's completely fucking bullshit, and then they cause all these issues, all these problems, and then they just let those people go to your country. They just let them flood in, because they're essentially bioweapons. They're there on purpose to destabilize you. All of these things that are happening, they're happening for a reason. It's happening because it is designed...
By the way, that man that he quoted earlier, Albert Einstein, he was hunted by the Nazis. He ran away from the Nazis. He denounced the Nazis. He ran away from the Nazis and never came back, never went back to Germany. He left Germany and never went back, bro.
Don't assume it's just because every politician is an idiot and they just make mistakes. Sometimes, yeah, that happens, but not like this. And that's why it's important now than ever to be open about this, to talk about it. If you can, if you're a YouTuber, you should be talking about it. If you're a writer, you should be writing about it. You should talk about it with your friends or family, whether you're American or Canadian or British or Scottish or from Ireland. It doesn't matter. If you're from the West, if you're a part of the West, this does affect you. And unfortunately for us, this is just another step in the long-term game plan to replace whites. Part of that is stuff like this. You destabilize them, you flood the countries and the neighborhoods with people that will literally torture their children, and then you give them get-out-of-jail-free passes. Even in the UK, when they arrest these people, dude, they give them, like, no sentences whatsoever. You know, I get mad all the time in America when people get off with, like...
Yeah, famously, when somebody burns a child to death, they get hit, slap on the wrist.
30 years in jail, and it's like, that person should be dead. But in the UK, you guys really... Like, I've seen stuff where people will do fucked up shit, and they only get, like, 5 years. But I digress. The point is, this is important. What's happening here matters. What happened to those young women in Britain, 250,000 of them, abused and forgotten by their own people, their own government, I should say. Not
There's
the people,
no
the people
evidence
remember.
of that.
The families remember. That affects them. It's not just the 250,000 themselves. Every single one of those women, every single one of those little girls, they have a mom and they have a dad. More than likely, some of them have brothers.
No evidence of that figure. I mean, 250,000. That's insane,
Some
man.
of them have cousins, aunts, uncles. They have a family. And even if they didn't have an extended family, they had a community. They had neighbors. They had people that loved them. Those people did not forget. You owe it to them to do everything you can when it comes to this. And I know making videos isn't everything, but talking about it, that does matter. And it is important. And it's not over. I've said this a billion times, and I'm not going to shut up about it, because if it was over, they wouldn't try to censor you so much. If it was over, they wouldn't try to damage control every single fucking thing in existence. It's not over. And since there's a chance, that means it is your responsibility to take it. Since there is hope, it is your responsibility to have it. If not for you, for your family. What less would your ancestors want for you? What less would God want for you? Does God want you to give up hope? Does God want you to just lay over and die? Do you think your ancestors would want you to do that? No. You're here for a reason. We're here for a reason. We didn't just build Western society because we're a bunch of bitches. I know there's quite a lot of us that are bitches nowadays. That doesn't have to be you. You don't have to be a bitch. You don't have to be that. You can be better. But that only starts when you choose to do that. Nobody can force you to be like that. You have to make that decision yourself. And some people might think it's silly. Some people might think there's no hope and that it's just a waste of time. Fuck those people. There's always been people like that, and they're never recorded in history. Nobody ever remembers who those people are. They're always forgotten, because that's what people who are forgotten do. They do nothing. Don't be one of them. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to do what I could in relation to this story and everything that was happening. I just had to talk about it with you guys, and I felt like there was a need to do so. So hopefully, you know, you guys agree. I'm sure there's somebody who's going to disagree, but I would like to hear your thoughts on everything that's happened. So please, if you have something to add, leave it below, whether you do agree or disagree with something I say. But if you did enjoy this video, if you learned anything, or if you got anything out of this, please share it. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out, but it also does boost these videos to go in the algorithm, and that's just going to help it reach more people. And that's kind of the end goal, because this is an important subject. But thank you guys for watching, and remember to check me out on Rumble, follow me on X, and as always, Jesus Christ is King of Kings, Lord of Lords.
Yeah, fuck you, man.